All right, so today's lesson is all about translating words into algebra. And this can be a tricky lesson because it's difficult to figure out which piece goes where. So if we can remember some key mathematical terms, it makes this a lot easier. So let's just start with an example. 5 less than twice a number is 17. All right, a lot to break down there. So we've got 5 less than twice a number is 17. So let's start with hopefully some familiar vocabulary. Is in math always means equal. So I know that I'm going to have an equal sign here. And then we've got 17 on the right. So I know that something is equal to 17. So now let's try and break down this part. 5 less. So let's say you have $10 and I have 5 less than you. To figure out how much money I have, you would take 10 minus 5. So we can show 5 less with minus 5. Okay. So now we've got then twice a number. Okay, so take another example. I've got $4. You have twice as much as me. What would you do with my $4? I hope you would times it by 2. So then twice a number is going to be 2 times something. So we're going to have 2 times a number. We don't know what that number is. So we're going to have 2 times a mystery number. Here's the tricky part, figuring out where these pieces go. We know equals is 17, equals 17. That is what it is. But now we got to figure out, okay, minus 5, 5 less, twice a number, 2n. But we're taking twice a number and finding 5 less than that. So even though 2n comes second, it's actually first in our equation. So we actually have 2n minus 5 equals 17. So 5 less than twice a number is 17. So the order of things can be a little tricky. Once you figure that out, it's just balancing an equation. So what's attached to our variable? Well, we've got this 2 attached through multiplication. We've got this 5 attached through subtraction. So remember, with balancing an equation, reverse order of operations. Start simple first. So we actually want to add 5 to both sides first. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So if we add 5 to 17, 17 plus 5 is 22. Negative 5 plus a positive 5 is 0. So we end up with 2n equals 22. So we still have this 2 attached to our variable through multiplication. So we're going to divide by 2. Whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other. 2n divided by 2 is just n. And 22 divided by 2 happens to be 11. So our solution is n equals 11. So let's plug that back in to the original equation. Great thing about algebra, you've always got to check. If n is really 11, then 2 times 11 minus 5 should equal 17. So now we follow regular order of operations. 2 times 11 is 22. We saw that number earlier, so that's a good sign. Minus 5, 22 minus 5 does equal 17. So we know that n minus 11 is the correct choice. All right, so now let's look at a geometric formula and try to use that information to set up an equation to solve. All right, so we've got a straight line. Sorry about that. And then we've got a ray coming from that line that looks something like that. So we're going to call this line 2x, 2 times the mystery number. And then we're going to call this one 1x, 1 times the mystery number. So they're supplementary, right? This is a straight line. So supplementary means that they're going to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so let's say we want to solve for this larger angle right here. Well, in order to do that, we've got to figure out what x is. So we know that both of these angles added up equals 180. So added up, they're 180. So I know that 2x plus 1x equals 180 degrees. So what we're going to have to do now is combine algebraic terms. We've got 2 of a variable plus 1 of the same variable. 2 dogs plus 1 dog. How many dogs does that give us? 3 dogs, or 3x, equals 180 degrees. So now we should have an equation that we're comfortable solving. Attached to our variable is 3. So we're going to divide by 3 on both sides. 3x divided by 3 is just x. 180 divided by 3 is 60. Now we're not done yet. So x equals 60. So that means that this small angle, 1x, is just x, 60 degrees. But we wanted to solve for the larger angle. So 2 times x would give us 120 degrees. So solving for the larger angle, we get 120 degrees. So here's a very brief introduction to translating words into algebra. It can be complicated. Break down the pieces you know. Figure out what goes first, what goes second, what goes third in some cases, and then solve it using algebra. Hope that helps.